For motion graphics, it's been sort of a wild experience because there's no set system. You know, there's no unified board. There's a few blogs here and there, and there's some major blogs that do a service of, you know, offering the job posts. But, you know, you got to think that there's around 2,000 or 3,000 artists in LA, and then maybe like 6,000, 7,000 artists in the US, or 10,000, and they're all going to these blogs. So, you know, producers get bombarded with this kind of stuff. So it's not really like a very viable, and a lot of finding jobs in the industry is like dating. It's very hard to get a first date, you know, because if the company doesn't know you, it's very hard to get in there. Even your work might be brilliant, but what I've seen in my experience is that people are willing to compromise quality a little bit if you're easy to work with and you're a nice person. Nobody wants to deal with a diva, and nobody wants to deal with a diva at 3 o'clock in the morning when the projects do, you know. So as far as finding work, yeah, there's the job posts and there's the blogs, and that's good. But I think the most powerful tool that you have as a freelancer is your reputation. Just be a good person, be extremely professional, help as many people as you can on your way, and it all comes back to you. You know, keep a good reel, which is something very hypocritical of me to say because I have a terrible reel. I have barely updated. It's just I don't have time. That's the deal. But usually what happens is, you know, if I have a really good friend and I know he's really good at something, I'll refer him to a job, and then he'll go there and he'll perform really well, and then they'll remember him and they'll remember me. So then they'll say, hey, your friend was really great. You know, we're done with what he was doing, but would you like to come in and do something else? And, you know, that sort of passes on. I'd say, yeah, like just have a very strong network of friends. And like I said, I think if I can say that again, just reputation, just be very professional, be very good at what you're doing. It's almost like being a professional athlete in a way, because there is a lot of mental, there's taxing on your brain, and it's very easy to be a good artist and a good person at 3 o'clock when you're rested and project's going well. That's fine, but how do you behave when you haven't eaten and the computer's crashing and it's 5 o'clock in the morning and you got to deliver the next day? That's the real test. So if you're able to keep your cool, if you're able to keep your professionalism, the questions that you're always answering inside your brain are, how can I help my team? How can I solve? Can I stay later and help somebody else? I think that makes it, because everybody's talented. Talent is a minimum requirement. It's how you behave with your team that really sets you apart. So if you do that, I think I've done that enough where I haven't looked for a job on a post in 15 years. So I think I'm doing okay. It's all been referrals by friends. And sometimes I'll hear somebody that I've never ever met say, like, they've heard wonderful things about me. They saw my reel. It was a marriage of both things, and they want to bring me in. And then I'll go in and work with them.
What about, you may not know because you haven't done it in 15 years, but if someone is just starting out and wants to, like, pursue this as a career, like, how do you get started as a freelance mobile graphic designer? That's
a great question, and I'm very glad that you asked that, because it's also a very difficult question. And here's what happens: is our market is saturated. There are so many good people already working, and then on top of that, you have kids graduating from school that want to be a part of it. And it's a ruthless industry, man. And if somebody can do the work that you can do for cheaper, they'll get them. But if they're not professional enough, it'll bite that company in the butt, right? And dip it in the butt. So anyways, back to your question. If you're a student, or if you want to dedicate yourself to this, there are really good schools that offer very powerful motion graphics programs, like Otis, like the Art Center, design in Pasadena. So Savannah School of Design, like there's a lot of art schools that offer a powerful program. I would steer away from the for-profit colleges, the smaller colleges that offer you a express program, because the design and the thought process behind them might not leave you as prepared as some of these schools where you have to go through 4 years of art education and you get a much more rounded education. I'm not saying that they're bad or worse. I'm just saying that if you have the choice, go to the other colleges. But anyways, these colleges, they have their own network of companies, and they have their job events and their job fairs. So that's like a good way to do it, to get your first job. But I think the difficulty, and right now, you know, this might change by the time you guys post this, but the economy might change. But right now, it's a pretty good time. It wasn't so good a few years ago. It was very difficult to find a job. But what I would say, if I was a student and I was looking for a job, I know that you have a lot of pressure, and I know that you have to make your loans, and I know that you have to, you know, go out there and make some money quick. But if you approach your job searching with that mentality, you're going to put yourself in a situation of abuse. You are going to be abused by your employer because your work's not going to be respected, your hours are not going to be respected, and you're just going to end up burning yourself pretty quick. So my advice, if you want to get into it, be passionate about it, go to school, create a strong network before you graduate, get to know the companies, contact them, you know, follow them, see what they're doing, see their work, and cold call. Sometimes just cold call or email. Just go to their website and email them and say like, hey, I'm looking for a job. This is my reel. Ask about money. Like, ask your friends about money. Ask your colleagues, ask your peers, ask the companies. Don't ever be shy about asking for finances. It might seem brash, it might seem rude, but it doesn't matter. You have to ask, because if you don't ask, you might be underselling yourself, you might be overbidding and losing jobs because of that. So just always ask. And like I said, don't put yourself in a position where you say, I'll do anything for work, because not only does that damage you as an artist and as a professional, it damages the entire industry. Because if a lot of people do that, it devalues the work. So best advice I can give you is know your worth, be fair with your own pricing. Even if you're a student or even if you're a new person in the industry, always think of yourself as a professional. Think of yourself as a company. You know, don't ever behave like you behave at home if you're just chilling out, because you're not going to your friend's house. You're offering a professional service. So behave like a company and operate like a company. So that's what I would advise them to do, is just always have a professional mindset from the moment they graduate or from the moment they get their first job. Is have a contract. It's very important. Always have a booking confirmation or a contract or a deal memo or whatever. Have it in writing. Always outline everything that is required of you, what software is going to be required of you, how many hours are going to be required, what your rate's going to be, and always have that on paper, because you never know.